Hi, welcome to Alien Reddit Stories, where we read alien stories off of Reddit. Let's just get into it. I'll leave the link for every video in the description. Not my story, but my dad's. As a consequence of this not being my story, I can't insist that I know what I saw and all that. All I can tell you is that I believe him, and he has no reason to lie to me. My dad has over a dozen stories like this. He grew up in rural Illinois, near a woodsy area. UFO activity was apparently high back then. I don't know if it was just my family or the whole area, but my dad and my grandpa would sit on the porch and watch the lights fly around their house for fun. This was a long time ago, when my dad was a kid. He's in his 60s now. They would watch the stars dart around like laser lights and laugh about it. Ish is mind-boggling to me now. I've only seen that kind of thing happen once or twice, and it freaked me out. Besides that, a bunch of weird ish would happen to my dad. Some of it is pretty similar to the stuff described in this thread, actually. Isolated earthquakes in Illinois that nobody else ever felt, bright orbs floating around in the sky and following him around, etc. It's been a while since he told me these stories, but one of the particularly weird ones has always stuck with me. FYI, I'm completely aware that it sounds like my dad was just effing with me. And trust me, I'd prefer to believe that. But I have good reasons to trust him. For starters, he's never lied to me about anything else. He wasn't the type of person to make ish up for show. He also had absolutely nothing to gain from making this ish up. But this guy really likes to swear, so I'm going to try to replace each swear word with obviously YouTube friendly stuff. But other than that, don't worry about it. Okay, let's get back to it. He never tried to push it or even write it down. He would just talk about it sometimes. Anyway, so my dad was in his teens, and weird UFO-ish has been happening his whole life at this point. He's out in his driveway for whatever reason, doing whatever people do when they live in a woodsy rural area. His parents aren't home. They're out shopping, at work, whatever. Suddenly this big black car pulls into his driveway. Tinted, windows, completely black. My dad just kind of watches it pull in, not sure what to think. Something to remember here, not only is this rural area, but it's 50 years ago. People were a lot more trusting back then. Yeah, I guess so, buddy. Nowadays, you'd be crazy to leave your front door unlocked, but back then, it was no big deal. So this strange black car pulls into my dad's driveway. It's making no noise at all. My dad noticed right away. The doors open out. Wow, I'm illiterate right now. Let's try that again. So this strange black car pulls into my dad's driveway. It's making no noise at all, which my dad noticed right away. The doors opens and out steps a super tall, fair-faced white man. He has blonde hair, an extremely well-tailored black suit, and black sunglasses on. Right away, my dad could see that there was something off about him. He was too perfect. Flawless skin, a childlike smile, and very overdressed for a hot summer day. He looked distinctly out of place. That's one way to put it. The man walks up to my dad and asks for his name. My dad, around 15 at the time, asks him why he wants to know. The man smiles and explains that he just wants to ask him a few questions and he means no harm. Bemused, my dad agrees, but he's still wary of this strange man. First, the tall white dude asks my dad if he lives here. My dad says yes, and asks why he wants to know. The man was completely relaxed, non-confrontational. Oh my god, I'm sorry, it's very late for me right now. The man has a completely relaxed, non-confrontational tone, and seems almost giddy, like he was really excited to be having this conversation. His childish, overzealous grin hadn't faded in the least. He asked my dad if he had seen, felt, or heard anything that he felt was outside of the ordinary. My dad said sometimes, and again asked why he wanted to know. The man just kept grinning, and by now my dad was feeling pretty comfortable. He had never seen this guy before in his life. He didn't appear to be any kind of a government agent. His behavior was far too unusual. Suddenly, the man's demeanor completely changes. His grin disappears, and he looks worried. Without so much as a goodbye, he opens his car, gets inside and drives away, still making no noise at all. A couple minutes later, my dad's parents come back from shopping. Now, for the really weird part. My mom saw the same effing dude 30 effing years later. She was in a bookstore looking to buy something don't know the details really, but she turned around and noticed this tall, fair-looking blonde guy in a black suit sitting at a table in the cafe, 30 feet or so from my mom. He was reading a newspaper. Sitting across from him was another dude, dressed exactly the same as the blonde one. They looked strangely out of place. Somehow, too perfect, too clean. Now my mom had heard this story from my dad before, and she actually recognized my dad's description of this man. He definitely stood out. So she's kind of taken aback, trying to figure out if he's actually the man my dad has seen all those years ago. The blonde guy notices my mom looking at him. Again, his demeanor completely changes. He stands up, turns around, and quickly walks out of the bookstore with the second guy right behind him. What the F, right? I'm actually freaking out a bit about this. I'm 22 now, and I have to wonder if I'm going to run into this awkward blonde stalker. It's like the MIB sent their most inept agent to follow around my dad. Or the most obvious alien ever is trying to study my family in our natural habitat. I don't effing know. I know this is all very vague. I'm going to bring it up to my dad tonight and try to clarify a few details. I'll be honest, I pushed the story out of my head because it weirds me out. Not gonna lie, you kind of weirded me out too. And for some reason when I was reading this, my screen here just went, the black ink just flushed completely white for a second, like blank. I could actually say that literally never happened to me before, so I'm kind of a little freaked out. I'm gonna go ahead and shut this off now, right? We'll see you guys next time.